Hello, friends. It's been about 2 months since I last made a video, and I do apologize for that. I was planning to do a whole bunch of reviews at MIF, and then I just didn't really have time to. And since then, in all honesty, I just haven't really been in the best headspace, and I haven't had a lot of motivation to be making videos. But I'm very excited to be getting back into it. I've had a few friends and followers reach out to me and saying that, hey, where are the videos? We're enjoying them. So it's always good to hear that stuff. It's always good to hear that someone's enjoying what you're doing, even if it's just me talking about movies because I enjoy doing it. And that is what I'm doing today. In my attempt to transition into being a full-on awards pundit, I am going to start doing monthly Oscar predictions starting from now because really September is when awards season fully kicks off. So starting from now, I'll be updating these predictions once a month. These are like in-depth, full predictions for almost all the categories. Not going to be predicting the short film categories yet because who knows, honestly, like no one knows really what's going on with them. But yeah, so this one's really for the hardcore nuts, or unless you're just really interested in seeing what kind of movies are coming out, because I think that we haven't seen a lot of the Oscar contenders yet. A lot of them have since premiered at festivals in the last month, but not a lot of the movies that I think are going to be big players have been seen by the general public yet, myself included. So I think it's going to be a really, really exciting awards season. And like, I've seen a lot of movies this year, like more than usual, and I still don't even think I've scratched the surface when it comes to these contenders. So without further ado, let's get into it. Best Picture. Now, with these ones, I'm really confident in 1 through 7, at least in terms of them getting nominated. And then I think beyond that, there are a lot of films that are still in play. But number one, I've got The Fabelmans, which is Steven Spielberg's new film. It's autobiographical. It's him recreating his childhood and his relationship with his parents as they went through their divorce and him discovering and falling in love with filmmaking. And it won the TIFF Audience Award, which is a pretty big Oscar prognosticator. And it's just getting rapturous praise all around. I'm still a little trepidatious in terms of Spielberg because I wasn't a big fan of West Side Story like everyone else was. And I'm hearing that it is kind of Oscar baity. It is kind of mawkish, but, you know, it's looks like it's going to be catnip for the Academy, and I'm really excited for it too. So I think it's a pretty safe bet to have it number one right now. Everything Everywhere All at Once. I know a lot of people are going cold on this, and I think you are all sleeping on it. They are launching an Oscar campaign. The cast are so lovable, and just their red carpet appearances alone are going to propel the movie and keep it in the public eye. It's going to win a lot of critics awards. I think it's pretty much a lock for a Best Picture nomination at this point, and maybe I'm biased because it's one of my favorites of the year, but I really think it's getting in, and I think it's still absolutely a chance to win. Women Talking, another one I'm really keen for. Sarah Polley is a really great filmmaker. It's premiered to really strong reviews. It came runner-up to The Fabelmans at TIFF. It's full of performances that are going to be nomination worthy. It's about important subject matter, but importantly, it's not nihilistic. It doesn't beat you over the head with misery, and supposedly it actually leaves you with a note of hope. So I think this one's going to do everything right, and it could be our Power of the Dog sort of contender this year, where it just manages to get in a fair few categories. And yeah, I don't see it missing the picture nomination, and I think it's absolutely a chance to win. Now, Banshees of Inisherin and Babylon, those are pretty close for me. A lot of people have gone cold on Babylon after the trailer came out, and it's one of the few movies here that no one has seen. So it is a bit of an unknown. I have not gone cold on Babylon. I've simply got Banshees higher because I think it is a lock for a Best Picture nomination at this point. Whereas Babylon, there's still that slight chance that it could come out and people don't really like it. But Banshees, Martin McDonagh's new film, his last film, Three Billboards, was a big Oscar hit and it damn near won Best Picture. Didn't quite get there in the end for picture and screenplay, but it was probably a top 3 contender that year. And Banshees is getting even better reviews. A lot of people are saying it's his best film. A lot of people are saying it really captures what his plays are like. And yeah, I haven't seen a bad word said about this film. Even the people who hated Three Billboards are coming out really loving Banshees. And I think it has done a lot better than most people were expecting it to. And I think it is absolutely in at this point. And yeah, Babylon 5th. I still don't think if it's good, if it's even just good, I think it's in because it is about Hollywood and it's Damien Chazelle. The Oscars like him. I know they didn't really go for First Man, but a lot of people didn't really go for that film. And I just think Babylon, it's going to tick so many boxes. Top Gun Maverick, I'm pretty confident is in at this point because people just love it. And like every demographic loves it. It's not just middle-aged dads who love the first movie. It's not just teenage boys who love action movies. It's like young people, film Twitter, cinephiles are loving it, film critics are loving it. Like there's not really a demographic of people that aren't liking it. Like I thought it was just really good, not amazing, and I feel like an outlier here. Like so I really think it's just going to get it's giving people a blockbuster experience they haven't seen in years. It takes a beloved film and it improves it massively. I just think it's there. And, there's always, with 10 slots, there's always going to be a blockbuster and maybe even two, but we'll get to that later. But I think Top Gun is the strongest of the blockbuster crop this year. Tar is a film that I'm really excited for, and it's looking like it's probably going to be one of the critics' favorite films of the year. Got rave reviews at Venice. Cate Blanchett won Best Actress there. Looks like it's a very long film. It looks like a very cold, maybe punishing, nihilistic sort of film, but I just think the reviews are so good that it's going to propel it to at least a Best Picture nomination. It might not be a top contender, but Todd Field's films, I know he hasn't made anything in about 15 years, but Little Children in the Bedroom both did very, very well in terms of Oscars. And I think with a few other big contenders having somewhat dropped out of the race, I think Tar is pretty easily going to find itself a spot in there. Now, 8, 9, and 10, I could kind of put anything in here. The Whale, I'm definitely more confident on than anything else in this crop, because I know the critic reviews aren't great, but Brendan Fraser is likely winning Best Actor. It is a tearjerker, and, what do people remember the most about movies? The ending, and people are coming out of this incredibly emotional, and there are some really, really, really passionate reviews of people who love the film, and I think it's one that maybe audiences might resonate with more than critics. Not all of Aronofsky's films make it into Best Picture, and it's supposedly pretty stagey. I know some people have problems with the screenplay, so I wouldn't call it a lock if maybe some of these more populist or blockbuster type picks start to pick up some steam. But at the moment, I do feel like Whale will be propelled in there on likely actor and screenplay nominations. Very curious to see how this one plays out. And then 9 and 10, I have The Woman King and Elvis. Again, there's probably, honestly, everything up to like 16, 17 here, I feel like could get nominated. So I guess I'll just speak a little bit to each film. The Woman King, it's not out here in Australia yet, so I haven't had the chance to see it, but people are really liking it. I know I haven't seen a ton of talk about it, but the reviews are really good, and it's a pulse pounding epic about this female warrior tribe. Viola Davis is just the best, and could it be our historical epic contender this year? I think at the moment, based on what we've seen, it's a really good chance. At 10th, I have Elvis, much to my own chagrin, because I haven't been shy about me hating that film, but look, people really like it. Audiences really like it. The people that are going to be voting for it, sort of older voters, are going to really love it. My mum loved it. There are so many Elvis fans out there, and Austin Butler is undeniably great. Like, even my curmudgeonly ass thought he was fantastic in it. So there's a lot going for it. There are a few below the line nominations it could snag. So if the field is looking a bit bare, I will not be surprised if Elvis sneaks in there. Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, definitely a chance too. The first one, I think, was pretty close to a Best Picture nomination. I think it would have been in that sort of 11th to 13th sort of range. It's pretty much guaranteed a screenplay nomination because the adapted field is so weak. There's a couple other categories, maybe, but, we'll talk about that. But, this one could get by just on love alone because it is such a fun film and such a fun franchise. And people will vote for it. Whether it makes the cut, we will see. Avatar: The Way of Water. A lot of my predictions for this film are based purely on the first one because it was such a juggernaut. Got those nominations: picture, director, cinematography, score, all the big stuff. So if people like it as much as the first one, I don't see why it couldn't get nominated. Avatar fever is sort of building back up. A lot of people are rewatching the first one, and I'm seeing a lot of people come around on it and say, "Oh, I like this way more than I remembered." I went and saw the remaster, and I liked it a lot less than I remembered. I actually think it's pretty average, but I have hope that this one's going to be better, and there's definitely room for two blockbusters in that top 10. All Quiet on the Western Front is a German remake of, a new adaptation of the novel, I guess, and it's coming to Netflix later this month, but early word is very, very good on it. Supposedly it's a really technically impressive, visceral film. We know the Academy love war movies, and I think the only thing holding it back here is the fact that it is in a foreign language. It's a pretty strong international feature contender, and if it does crack into Best Picture here, we're probably going to know what our frontrunner for that category is, but definitely a shot. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, definitely a shot. The first one did great. Won some Oscars, got that Best Picture nomination. It did really, really well. And honestly, I think this one looks even better just based off of the trailers. So, you can't rule it out. She Said, it's another unknown. We haven't really seen it. I think we sort of know what it is. It looks like a spotlight-y sort of surface level telling of the story, but it's about Hollywood. It's about the journalists uncovering the Weinstein, that cunt. But yeah, so I think this could happen. I still think it could happen. I know I've got it low only because we haven't seen it, and I know a lot of people are cold on it, but I think if the movie's good, there's no reason why it can't rise up and be a bit of a player in some acting and screenplay categories. So yeah, don't sleep on She Said. Till just premiered at the New York Film Festival, and it's getting better reviews than I expected. Not that I expect it to get bad reviews, but maybe there was going to be a bit of a, does this story need to be told? It's too depressing. It looks maybe a bit fake and studio-y and meant to make people feel good, but supposedly it hits most of the right notes, and Danielle Deadwyler's performance is getting insane praise, so she is looking pretty good for a Best Actress nom. So look, Till could rise up and take one of those 8th to 10th spots because people do like the movie. Now, from here is stuff that I think is less likely to get nominated, so really briefly go through it. Triangle of Sadness won the Palme d'Or. I've kind of cooled on it a little bit, solely because I think it does run out of steam so much in that third act. I have seen it. I thought it was pretty good. Wouldn't be up there for me, but, you never know. Living, purely because people think that Bill Nye might get nominated and it could get a screenplay nomination. I haven't heard a ton about it yet in my circles, but supposedly people are really liking it. So this one's more, I'll probably make a more clear decision on once I've seen it. Decision to Leave, I have seen it. It's a very, very fun movie, and if they do want to go with an international film in Best Picture, this is probably the next best choice behind Western Front. I just don't think there's that universal love for it from critics and audiences that propelled something like Drive My Car or Parasite into Best Picture. It's not easy for a foreign film to get into Best Picture, and I think this one does have a bit of an uphill battle. And ditto goes for RRR, which sadly India didn't submit for its submission, but it's such a fun film. The studio are going to campaign it. People love it. And there is a world in which people maybe protest vote this into Best Picture as a result of it not getting submitted. I don't think it's likely, but you never know. Empire of Light and Bardo, those are two that we thought were going to be big contenders early on, but they premiered at Venice and TIFF and they just didn't get very good reviews. Bardo got kind of bad reviews. It's getting re-edited, so you never know. Future audiences could see it and like it, and the cinematography looks great from the trailer, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Ditto for Empire of Light. Seems to tick all the boxes, but most people think it's just okay. The Son, again, we thought it was going to be a big contender. Florian Zeller's follow-up to The Father, but it came out to pretty ordinary reviews, and it's looking like it could almost even get goose-egged. Bones and All. I don't think the Academy would be cool enough to put this in Best Picture, but people are loving it. And they have nominated Guadagnino before, so it's on there barely. And lastly, I have Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Because Guillermo del Toro is the man. His last two films got Best Picture nominations. People maybe are crying out for a good Pinocchio movie after, the last one that came out. But, you never know. That's about all I've got for Best Picture. I'll be pretty surprised if anything outside of this 25 gets nominated. And on to the next categories. There's nowhere near as much crap in those categories as there was in this one. Director here is pretty much following off of my Best Picture predictions. Spielberg at number 1, The Fabelmans. Supposedly it's definitely not his most impressive directorial effort, but it's easily a film that could carry him to a win there, especially with how autobiographical it is. Damien Chazelle, Babylon, number 2. It's Damien Chazelle. He won director with La La Land. That's really all I have to say. The film looks even more technically outlandish than La La Land. So if the film's good, Chazelle is in and he could win. Daniel's Everything Everywhere. Again, there are people out there who don't think they're going to get nominated, but I really do think the film is a top-tier contender for picture, and the film is such an impressive balancing act of tones and visual styles and narratives and blah, 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 blah. It's a really, really impressive, maximalist, visually kinetic film, and I think if the film is going to do as well as I think it is in terms of nominations, director should go along with it. Sarah Polley for Women Talking. It just feels like a no-brainer, this one, and I'll be pretty surprised if she misses. Todd Field for Tar is my 5th pick. I don't think it's a lock, but I think, again, with how much critics love the movie, the director's branch, there's going to be a lot of respect for Todd Field in there, and I think if the movie gets in Best Picture, it will get Best Director. Martin McDonagh nipping at the heels because he didn't quite get nominated for Three Billboards, but supposedly this is a bit more of an impressive effort visually and stylistically. So if the movie is that sort of top 3-4 contender that I think it easily can be, don't rule it out for director. James Cameron, Avatar: The Way of Water. He got nominated for the first one, but this entirely hinges on whether the movie is good or not. Or is great or not, I guess. Park Chan-wook, Decision to Leave. We know the director's branch love to fill in an international director there. I know I've got All Quiet higher in Best Picture, but Edward Berger isn't really a well-known director, whereas Park Chan-wook is a really, really beloved guy. So if there is any love for the film from the Academy, I would not rule out him cracking the 5 there. Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness. I think everybody kind of had him penciled in after the film came out, but again, I just think the reception has cooled a little bit, and I think that film is one you would more honor for its screenwriting than for its directing. Baz Luhrmann, Elvis. I'm going to be pretty upset if this happens, but I'm not ruling it out. Gina Prince Bythewood for The Woman King. Again, if people love the movie, Best Picture, they want to get another female in there, it could go along for the ride, and I'm really excited for that film, and it sounds like it is pretty, like, bombastic and entertaining and stylish. Edward Berger, All Quiet. Again, maybe if they love the film, but he's not really a big name, which makes it pretty tough for an international contender. Darren Aronofsky, The Whale. Supposedly it is pretty self-contained, so this would be a long shot. Ryan Coogler, Black Panther Forever. If they love the movie, maybe, but a long shot. And again, SS Rajamouli, I've got down low in a few categories just in case people want to be like, hey, screw you for not submitting it, India. Let's get it in there. Best Lead Actress, I've got Cate Blanchett for Tar on top. I think she's a pretty good bet right now to win. People are saying it's a career best performance from her. Now, this isn't just like anybody. People are saying it's a career best performance from Cate fucking Blanchett, a goddamn 2-time Oscar winner. Cate Blanchett, one of the greatest living actors. I think that speaks enough for itself. And it's a long film. It's all her. It's a prickly character. She's going to get a lot to do in it. So I'm very excited for this film and for this performance. And I'm seeing it in just over 2 weeks. So I'll have more thoughts on that next month. Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere All at Once, I'm still very, very high on. Again, I think she's just going to go along with the film, and I still think she could win. She's the first Asian American actress nominated in lead in a very long time. In fact, maybe even ever in lead. I'd have to check, but you know, we've got an opportunity to give her, she's been a legend of the screen for decades, and she's finally got a film that allows her to showcase all of her acting range, not just her fighting skills and martial arts talent. I would love this. I would love if she won, and I think it's absolutely on the cards. Danielle Deadwyler Till. Now, we've been predicting her all year, and we pretty much just got confirmation with the film's premiere at New York. People are saying she's incredible and sensational, and if you see the film, how can you not vote for her? So I just think she's in at this point with or without the film. Margot Robbie, Babylon. This is not me calling on her. This is just the fact that I think I have 3 locks ahead of her. And again, early word was that this performance is insane and it looks very, very over the top. It's going to have a lot of acting. So I think if the Academy like the film, they're not going to be able to go past this one. The only caveat here is that she may move into supporting because supposedly her role isn't like huge, or it's maybe not quite lead, but you know, that remains to be seen when we get a look at the film. And in what was probably the biggest bombshell announcement of awards season so far was Michelle Williams announcing that she was campaigning in lead for The Fabelmans instead of supporting, because it was pretty much universally agreed upon that Michelle Williams is winning the supporting Oscar for The Fabelmans. It's just that kind of performance. It's her time. She's been nominated so many times, but they decided to campaign her in lead. I haven't seen the film, but it's maybe an interesting case of reverse category fraud. But it does mean that I don't think she can win, but I do think that she will be nominated, which kind of makes it tougher for some of these other fringe contenders. But I'm actually really, really confident in this 5 for actress. Unless Babylon tanks and someone else gets in, I'm really confident in this group of nominees. But other options, Viola Davis for The Woman King. I think the film would have to get into Best Picture for this to happen, but it could happen. People love Viola Davis, and the Oscars love Viola Davis, and supposedly she is great in it. Olivia Colman, Empire of Light. At the start of the year, everyone kind of just agreed that this was going to happen. She's playing like a schizophrenic. It's Olivia Colman. She's the current day Meryl Streep. She's getting nominated for every performance she's in, and rightly so. She's the best. But again, if people just don't care about the film, why would she go along with it? She would have to be like exceptional, or she would have to top her previous performances. And supposedly she is really, really good, but this hinges on the film, and I don't think the film's going to be a player, and I think there are enough strong performances that they can leave Olivia Colman out this year. Naomi Aki, I Want to Dance with Somebody. It's a music biopic, so you can't rule it out, but, it could just be Respect from last year, and it might just not quite happen, because the film looks average. Emma Thompson, Good Luck to You, Leo Grande. This one is more one that I might think will pick up some critics' prizes because she is highly respected. It's a very brave performance from her. I loved her in the film. I don't think this is quite going to translate into an Oscar unless some other contenders drop out in a big way, but, it's one to look out for. Ana de Armas for Blonde. I feel like I have to have her here, but I really don't think it's going to happen at this point. If you want to know what I thought about the film, I hated it. I thought it was mean-spirited and exploitative, and it was a huge disappointment because I love some of Andrew Dominik's previous films. But anyway, I digress. Ana de Armas, she gives it her all in the film. There's a lot of love for her performance, but there's a lot of people who also think she isn't that good or she's kind of lost at sea in the film, and I kind of fall into the camp of thinking Dominik didn't really give her enough to do, despite how much she really put into this role. But I just think the film's too controversial, it's too divisive, erring on the side of negative, and I just don't quite think it's going to happen for her. She'll get there one day, but I don't think this is the one. Zahra Amir Ebrahimi for Holy Spider, solely because she won Best Actress at Cannes. That's something I don't want to ignore, but it is a long shot. Zoe Kazan, She Said. Now, sort of there's debate between Kazan and Mulligan that they're supposedly both leads in the film, but we're expecting the studio is going to category fraud one of them into supporting, and I feel like that might be Carey Mulligan because I feel like they might have a better chance of getting her nominated. So Zoe Kazan is lead here. I don't think it will happen, but I think that's where she's going to be campaigned. Rooney Mara for Women Talking. There is talk that she is going to be sort of the sacrificial lamb of that wide cast and thrown into lead. She probably won't get in, but it'll make room for the other actors from that film to get into supporting. And supposedly if the film does have a lead, it's her. I'm really excited to see it, to figure that out. But yeah. Mia Goth for Pearl. There's a lot of people crying out for this one to happen. It would be super cool. The Academy don't like horror movies, and I think that might be one we just don't get past. I'm very excited for Pearl. It's not out here yet in Australia. Don't know when it will be, but I'm very keen. I'm sure she's great in it. She's incredible in X. Taylor Russell, Bones and All. I think she's an excellent young actress, and supposedly she's a standout in this, and it would be one that could only happen if the film got into Best Picture, which again, long shot. And Tong Wei, Decision to Leave. She is fantastic in it. It just, will they care? Will they notice? I'm already exhausted from talking, and I've only done 3 categories. Best Lead Actor. Brendan Fraser, The Whale. I think a lot of people have just stamped him that Oscar already, and I'm not going to disagree. The raves are there. People are saying even people who don't like the film are saying he's incredible. He can have his Oscar. So I think this is happening. There's always one category that feels locked up early in the year, and things could change. There's a couple other contenders, but I really think that this is happening, especially with the main other competition expected to be Hugh Jackman in The Sun, and after people not liking that film, he might not even get in. Number 2, I've got Austin Butler for Elvis. He's stuck around, and again, I'm living proof that I hate that film, and I still think he deserves to be nominated because he is excellent in it, and he truly embodies Elvis. Colin Farrell, Banshees of Inisherin. This is happening. My man Colin Farrell is gonna get his first ever Oscar nomination. I'm really glad about that. People just love him in the film. Supposedly his character is super, super likable and sympathetic. He has a lot of great monologues, a lot of great one-liners, a lot of facial expressions and comedy bits. So I think that's the top three, and I think the other two spots are a bit fluid, but I think those three you can pretty much lock in for nominations. Hugh Jackman for The Son. I've still got him here. People don't like the film. I don't think it's going to get much, but he does come out of the film kind of unscathed, and people are still really praising his performance and saying he really works despite the film not working. So it will just be a case of how much do people love him in it if they want to nominate him without the film going along with it. And then fifth spot, this could be anyone, but I've got Bill Nighy for Living. It could happen. Diego Calva from Babylon does remain a bit of an unknown because we haven't seen the film, but by all accounts, he is the lead of the film. We know Chazelle writes great characters, and he gets his actors nominations. So if he's good, it could happen. He's just not in the top 5 because he is an unknown. Tom Cruise, Top Gun Maverick. I'm not ruling it out. I don't really look at it as an Oscar caliber performance, and I don't think a lot of other people do either, but he could get in on sheer goodwill alone. People love him. People appreciate what he's done for the film. And, you know, in lieu of a director nomination, he kind of is the true artist behind this film. So it could be a way for people to honor him. So not ruling it out. Tom Hanks, A Man Called Otto. It's a remake of the film A Man Called Ove, or Ove, or however you pronounce it. But, you know, it could end up just being a nothing film that no one cares about, or it could be really good and he's great in it and he gets nominated. We don't know yet. Adam Sandler for Hustle. Look, if it didn't happen for Uncut Gems, I don't really think it's going to happen for this, but people love him in it. You never know. Kelvin Harrison Jr. for Chevalier. Supposedly he's really good in it. There's just question marks over whether it's going to come out this year or not. Adam Driver for White Noise. Unlikely. We know the Academy like Driver, but the film might just be too weird for them. Park Hae-il, Decision to Leave. Same sort of category as Tong Wei. Excellent performance, but probably depends on whether they go hard for the film or not. Jim Parsons for Spoiler Alert. This is a film by Michael Showalter, who did The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which just won Jessica Chastain an Oscar, and it does look like a bittersweet sort of romance drama thing. So it's just one to keep an eye on. Maybe it's more of a Golden Globe type situation, but you never know. Song Kang-ho for Broker. Won Best Actor at Cannes. I've seen the film. I think he's good in it, but doesn't really have a ton to do, and he's almost more of a supporting performance. So I personally don't see it, but I know a lot of people are still predicting him. So he's there. He's there for now. And then lastly, I just have Gabriel LaBelle for The Fabelmans, who plays young Steven Spielberg, who's the lead. Supposedly he's fantastic in it. The Academy just don't like kids. Best Supporting Actress, I'm really excited about this year because it looks like it's maybe going to be the most competitive acting category, especially with Michelle Williams dropping out. Because, you know, she was going to win, and now no one really knows who's going to win. And there are like 3 or 4 films that could be vying for 2 people to get nominated. Like, there are so many contenders here. But number 1 and 2, I have Claire Foy and Jessie Buckley for Women Talking. Supposedly they're both fantastic in it. People can't agree on who the better one is, but I've got Foy on top because supposedly hers is the more Oscar-baity performance, and she has a lot of yelling and monologues and stuff. And so I love Claire Foy. She should have been nominated for First Man, so I'd love to see this happen. And then Jessie Buckley, a lot of people are saying she's the standout of the film. We all know I am like her biggest fan, so I'll probably come out of it saying she needs to win. But, you know, I'm excited for this award season because we're living in a world where we could hear the words Academy Award winner Jessie Buckley, you know. You never know. We'll see. Up there, I've also got Kerry Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin. Not one anyone would have really expected going in, but reports are she is an absolute scene stealer in that film, and she's the heart of the film, and she's in it a lot. People are loving her. People love her in Better Call Saul. Like, it's building. It's building, and I think it's going to happen. Here's where it gets really, really hard. I've got Hong Chow for The Whale in there. There's a lot of debate over whether it's her or if it's Sadie Sink in The Whale. Leaning toward her because she supposedly is the more lovable character, whereas Sadie Sink is a bit more prickly in it. But again, could the Stranger Things hype just propel her back up in there? Remains to be seen. Then fifth, I've got Stephanie Sue for Everything Everywhere, who definitely doesn't feel like a lock as much of a log as her co-stars in that film, but I'd love to see it happen. She is phenomenal in that movie. She's so funny, so intense, and I think it's absolutely still on the cards. But again, this is a really, really competitive field. I have a lot of other contenders here, so I'll try not to go on for too long about them, but I've got Tuzo Mabedu up there for the Woman King. Supposedly she is phenomenal in it, like every bit as good as Viola Davis, so if the film's in Best Picture, this could easily happen. Lashana Lynch is in there too, but I feel like Mbedu is supposedly the better or more likely performance. Janelle Monáe, Glass Onion, there was hype about her before the film even came out. Supposedly she is great in it and is kind of the lead, I guess what you'd call the Ana de Armas character from the first one. So I don't know if it'll happen, but she's going to be in the conversation the whole time, I think, and may pick up some smaller nominations. Nina Hoss for Tar. There's talk about this. There's a few supporting people in that movie, but there is talk about her being really great in it, and I think that's one that depends on them really loving the film. Sadie Sink, The Whale, I've already talked about. Carey Mulligan, She Said, I kind of already talked about, and again, it's a case of this could move up way higher if the film comes out and they do decide to put her in supporting, because again, she's been around the conversation so much recently, so if she's great in it, there's no reason this can't lead to another nomination for her. Angela Bassett for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. The first one didn't get any Oscar nominations, but just going, acting nominations, I mean. But just going off the trailer, she looks really, really great in it. There's going to be a lot of emotional weight behind her character, and if she's great in it and they go for the movie, it's one that could happen. Jamie Lee Curtis, Everything Everywhere. There are a lot of people who are predicting her over Stephanie Sue. Just going off what I think of the film, I don't really see it, but she is wonderful in it and people love her, so you never know. Dolly DeLeon, Triangle of Sadness. I might have her a bit lower than some other people. I loved her in it. I thought she was great and she was the best part of the third act of that movie, but she really is only in that third act and not much else. And again, the third act is kind of boring, and will people associate her with that? I don't know. She's great in it and would deserve it, but I'm not convinced just yet. Judith Ivey for Women Talking. I'm just hearing a lot of word that she's really good in it and people love her, and could the film go for that unprecedented 3 supporting nominations? I don't know, but if a lot of the other competitors cancel each other out, it's one to look out for. And lastly, I've got Vanessa Kirby for The Sun. She's probably the only one other than Hugh Jackman who came out of that movie still getting praise for her performance, but I just don't think it's going to happen now. And Jean Smart for Babylon. Again, there's hype about it. I don't know. I'm not convinced, but we'll see. Best Supporting Actor, Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere. He's my favorite performance of the year so far, and I'd love to see him win, and I really think he can. And I think they'd be stupid not to give it to him. There's a great narrative behind him. It's his comeback. It's his first major film in like 20 years or something. His character is the heart and soul of that film. He's so lovable. So many people come out of it saying, oh yeah, he's my favorite character, myself included. The nomination's a lock, and he can win, and it would be awesome. Brendan Gleeson, another one that would be really awesome for the Banshees of Inisherin. I think he's done enough to get a nomination here just on how much people love the film and the characters. Supposedly he doesn't have any big like Oscar-y bits, and his character's pretty prickly and subtle the whole time, so I don't know if this translates to a win, but I think he's getting in there. Same for Ben Whishaw for Women Talking. He's the only significant male character in the film. Supposedly he is really sympathetic in the film and gives a lot of emotion. So again, it's one, if the film goes along, there's no reason he's not going to be nominated there. Now, these other spots are a bit tricky. I'm pretty keen on Brad Pitt in Babylon. I know some people aren't, but I've been pretty keen on him from the start. He won for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It looks like he's going to be really, really fun in this movie based on the trailer, and I think it'll happen. I think if he's good enough, it'll happen. Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans. Sort of between him and Paul Dano for this 5th and 6th spot. Early on, everyone thought it was Paul Dano, but the hype, the raves for Judd Hirsch coming out of TIFF, he has this 9-minute scene in the film, and it's all he's in the film, but supposedly he's just doing a lot. He's doing a lot of faces and yelling and stuff, and people loved him in it. Loved. And we know they love to recognize veterans in the supporting categories, so I've got him in there for now. Paul Dano, also a very good chance. We'll see. Barry Keoghan for Banshees of Inisherin. People love him in the movie. He's a rising star. I don't see that movie getting the double nomination, but you know, people are going to be talking about him, so you never know. I'd love to see it happen. I love Barry Keoghan. Woody Harrelson for Triangle of Sadness. I've seen the film. He's great in it. He's a delight. He's very funny. I'm just kind of calling on this. I think there are stronger contenders. Eddie Redmayne for The Good Nurse. We know the Oscars love Eddie Redmayne. Just depends if they're going to care about this movie at all. I don't know if they will. Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway. I've got him in there because people are saying he's incredible in the film, like win-worthy. It's just a case of they might not care about the film, and is he going to be good enough to overcome that? But I've got him there because it supposedly is really, really strong work. Michael Ward, Empire of Light, an early favorite that's kind of dropped down with the film, and it's one where I don't see him getting in without the film getting some significant other nominations. Toby Jones, Empire of Light, ditto for what I just said about Michael Ward. Jeremy Strong for Armageddon Time. Supposedly he's really great in it, but the Academy haven't cared about James Gray yet. Will they now? Mark Rylance for Bones and All. Supposedly he gives a really, really campy and fun turn, and again, one that hinges on the film's success. And lastly, Seth Rogen for The Fabelmans. I don't think he's going to beat out the other two, but I love Seth Rogen, so I'm putting him there. Best Original Screenplay. I think this is a bit of a dogfight between three movies. Everything Everywhere, Banshees, and Fabelmans. Fabelmans because it is that movie that could probably be winning Best Picture, so why wouldn't it take Screenplay along with it? And if it doesn't win Director, it's going to need to take Screenplay if it wants Best Picture. Everything Everywhere is just such an impressive writing feat. Like, there are people, I still don't know how they just threaded all of that together, and I think it's absolutely possible for this to win. Ditto for Banshees of Inisherin. Mark McDonough is a perennial screenplay nominee. He very nearly won for Three Billboards. He was just pipped at the post by Get Out, and I really think any of these could happen, but I think Everything Everywhere is that sort of genre populist pick that they do like to go with an original screenplay, like Get Out, Promising Young Woman, that sort of film. It's where they reward the indie that maybe doesn't quite win Best Picture. But yeah, it's a really, really fun race between those three movies, I think. And Tar, not far behind them. I just think that one's going to be more praised for its directing than its screenplay. That's just the feeling I have, but I think it'll still get in there. And Babylon, Chazelle, screenplay usually goes along when his movies get nominated. I don't think it's really going to be a winner, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fun, snappy dialogue for it to get in there. And Triangle of Sadness, I kind of had penciled in as a lock here, but I just think stronger competitors have emerged. And look, it could take that fifth spot from Babylon if they like the movie, but I think they are going to have to like the movie. I think it's going to need at least one other nomination. I don't know if it just gets screenplay. Ditto for Decision to Leave. If they like the movie, very good chance of getting in. If they don't go for it outside of international, probably not. The Menu's a dark horse for me. Supposedly it's a really, really fun and original movie that has a lot of great social commentary. It's a long shot, but it's one that I don't know. I just, a little feeling it could make some noise. Nope. It's Jordan Peele, enough said. Good luck to you, Leo Grand. It's in a weaker year, I could absolutely see this getting nominated. I just think it might get lost in the noise. And then Bardo, if it comes back, people like the re-edit, it recovers, maybe, but as it stands, no. Ditto for Empire of Light. I just don't think people are going to care. For adapted screenplay, now this field is much, much weaker, and I think Women Talking is winning it. Like, I don't see any of these other ones beating it. They're not as well liked. They're not as well respected. They don't deal with as important subject matter. I just think Women Talking, Sarah Polley, you're going to win your Oscar, and deservedly so, I think. I hope. I'm very excited for that film. Glass Onion is in there. The first one got in. People are saying this is as good, if not better, and this is a much weaker field than the first one had, so I just think it's in. The Whale, I know that a lot of people's biggest issue with the film is its screenplay, but it is a play adaptation. Supposedly, it does do pretty well with that. It is pretty confined to a single space, but a lot of people are saying it works. A lot of people are saying it doesn't. I just think with how weak the field is, The Whale is in. If it doesn't get Best Picture, maybe it doesn't get in, but that remains to be seen. She Said, it's a bit of an unknown, but it looks like a very screenplay-driven movie, so if it's any good, it's a very good chance to get in. And Living, this fifth spot's kind of it could be anything of this next 10, but it's, you know, based on a beloved film. It's a remake of a beloved film. That might rub some people the wrong way, but supposedly people like it. Bones and All, screenplay is probably the best chance for genre stuff like this to get in. It's based on a book, and people really like it. Till, again, people are liking it more than expected. It's probably not going to reinvent the wheel at all in terms of writing, but it's not one to rule out with how weak the field is. Top Gun Maverick, again, solely could get in on pure love and goodwill for the movie alone, even though it's not really one where you think about the quality of the screenplay. The Woman King, kind of same with Top Gun. Supposedly the screenplay is just like fine, but if the movie's in Best Picture, it could go along with the ride because there aren't a lot of Best Picture contenders sitting in this category. All Quiet on the Western Front, probably not a super dialogue-driven movie. It's a war movie, but it's pretty much the same thing I just said about the last contenders. If it's getting Best Picture love, it could get in here. White Noise looks very screenplay-driven, and it's an adaptation of a really difficult book to adapt, but I just don't think people are going to care. I'm thinking of ending things. It's first out. It's an indie movie that maybe has some admirers, but it will not happen. The Sun, early frontrunner, not going to happen. People don't like it. People don't like the script. Black Panther, maybe. The Batman, I don't know. Maybe. That's wishful on my part. I love the Batman. Cinematography, look, Linus Sangren won for La La Land, so I've got Babylon at number 1. It looks visually crazy. The Fabelmans will absolutely be nominated. Will it win? I don't know. Supposedly it's not the biggest technical marvel, but it will absolutely be there. Top Gun Maverick, great cinematography. I don't think it's like remarkable, but I think it's done enough to get in there. Avatar: The Way of Water, the first one got in. There's going to be technological advancements and camera tricks, and I think this is going to get in. 5 have got Bardo. I think this is one that could get in even if people don't like the film, as has been reported, because they released that trailer and the cinematography looks sensational. So it's one that could happen without the film. And Empire of Light is kind of in that same category as Bardo. It's Roger Deakins. It's going to look great. But again, will people care? And if it comes down to those two, I lean toward Bardo. Banshees of Inisherin. If they don't care about either of those two films, Banshees could be the one that takes that 5th spot because supposedly it is McDonough's best looking film. And yeah, I'm here for it. Tar, I think the cinematography looks great from the trailer, but people don't seem to think it's going to happen. So maybe those who have seen it know something I don't. It might just be a more story and acting driven film. Everything Everywhere could happen. It's got a lot of great camera movement, but I guess visually it's an indie movie. So it's an indie movie set in an office building essentially. So a lot of the visual trickiness comes from the editing and the movements rather than the actual cinematography and look of the film. Women Talking, it could be one if they really love the film, it just gets put in every category, but supposedly people don't like the color grading and it's pretty dark and muddy, so that could hold it back from a nomination. The Batman, I personally think it deserves to be nominated here. I think it has even better cinematography than Dune, which was also done by Greg Fraser, which won him an Oscar. But people just don't seem to care about the Batman, and it might just be a casualty of its early release date, because I think it absolutely deserves a nomination here. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. If people love it, it could happen. Costume design. Now, with a lot of these texts, I'm just kind of putting Babylon up there because it's the big Hollywood period piece with a lot of stuff going on. So why not have it up there? Elvis has great costumes, and I think that's just going to happen. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the first one costume, so why wouldn't this one get in there? The Fabelmans probably doesn't do a lot costume-wise, but I think it's just going to be that movie that gets plonked into every single category. And The Woman King looks like, a historical epic. There are going to be some great costumes. Number 6 is my outside pick, is Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. It's like a little movie, but it's about fashion design, so, if people see it and like it, it could be that little movie that just gets that one nomination in that one category. Everything Everywhere. Now, I'd personally nominate this. I think Stephanie Sue's character has a lot of great costumes, like all the Jobu Tupaki stuff, but I just don't think people are going to see it that way. Chevalier, big period piece, lots of crazy costumes, just might not come out this year. RRR could be a part of its campaign, you never know. And Women Talking, looks like it has good costumes. I just think there are probably some flashier ones out there. Best film editing. Now, this is a big fight between Everything Everywhere and Top Gun. I thought Top Gun feels like it might just take editing and sound, like lock it in, but Everything Everywhere I think has the most impressive editing of the year. And if it is going to be the best picture contender, I think it is every shot to win editing. Babylon, again, it's Giselle. His movies have very snappy, fast-paced editing, and I'll be shocked if this doesn't get in. The Fabelmans, plonk it into every category. And that 5th spot's a tricky one. I've gone with Women Talking because it is a top best picture contender, and those categories usually correlate. All Quiet on the Western Front. It's a war movie. It's going to have a lot of editing, and it's probably going to get sound. Sound goes along with editing. It's a pretty safe bet thinking that could sneak in there somewhere. Number 7, I've got Elvis, because, they like to give it to the movies with the most editing. Is it good editing? I don't think so, but history says that stuff like this gets in. Avatar, The Way of Water. Big blockbuster, technical achievement. Potential Best Picture nominee, could get in. Banshees of Inisherin, if it is that big Best Picture contender, it could happen. I don't see it, but it could happen. Glass Onion, there was talk about the first one maybe nearly missing an editing nomination, so I think if it gets that Best Picture nomination, look out for it here. And finally, Decision to Leave, because I think the editing in that film is so impressive. It's like a magic trick. I just don't know if it'll happen, but it should happen. It deserves to happen. Makeup and hairstyling, I think The Whale is going to win. I think Brendan Fraser's likely acting win is just going to carry this to a win because it's so intertwined with his performance. And from the photos, it looks seamless. It looks so impressive, and I think that's just going to win. Elvis for your crazy Tom Hanks makeup, and Elvis has some makeup too. I just think that'll happen. And The Batman for Colin Farrell's incredible The Penguin makeup would be a travesty if that didn't happen. Babylon, big Hollywood epic, yada yada. And X, people don't think this will happen, so this is my wishful pick. You're allowed to be wishful when the ceremony is still like fucking 4 or 5 months away, but X, it's a wishful pick. A lot of people want it to happen. The reason for the great makeup is kind of a spoiler, but it is exceptional. It's unexpected. It's brave. It's great makeup work, and it absolutely deserves a nomination. All Quiet on the Western Front, a lot of people think will happen. There's a lot of dirt and mud on the characters' faces about the war zone and survival, and it'll be in the conversation. Black Panther is going to be in the conversation for a lot of technical awards. The Woman King, Everything Everywhere, unlikely, but if they do want to reward it pretty hard with the technicals, it's an option. And The Fabelmans, again, is an option there. Best production design, I just default to Babylon again. The old Hollywood stuff very frequently wins this award, and I don't see why Babylon should be any different if it's as good as we hope it's going to be. Avatar, The Way of Water, I know a lot of this stuff's going to be digital, but I'm sure there are going to be some really elaborate sets. I mean, there's a reason it took them so long to film these damn things. So that and Black Panther, the two blockbusters, very good shots of production design. The first one, I think, got nominated for production design too. Might have even won, I think. All Quiet on the Western Front it's a war movie. War movies have great production design. They often get nominated for production design. And The Fabelmans, again, has got that sort of, recreating 1940s stuff or 50s or whenever it's set. And I think it'll be one that just goes along for the ride there. Elvis is a chance. There's a lot of artificial sets and stuff like that, but I think it's more of a costume movie. The Woman King, ditto, probably more of a costume movie. Glass Onion supposedly has great production design, but they don't often go for contemporary stuff, so it seems unlikely. And then The Batman, which I think deserves a nomination, probably won't get it because people just have forgotten about the film. Best original score. Now, common sense should probably have me put Women Talking at number 1 here, but I've got Babylon at number 1 because Justin Hurwitz is fantastic. He won for La La Land, should have won for First Man, but didn't get nominated, and that's my only reserve here. Maybe they have something against Justin Hurwitz for some reason. I don't know. But look, it's Babylon, it's Hurwitz, it's Giselle. There's going to be a lot of music. There's going to be crazy, probably period accurate music, and I don't see why this couldn't win. Women Talking is Hilda Guanadotia, who did Joker. Supposedly it is a very good score, and I think you can just lock that in. She also did Tar, so they could double up. It's happened before. It happened pretty recently with Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, but I don't know. Maybe. The Fabelmans, I think, just will get in. The Batman, a lot of people think this won't, and I think if it gets anything, it is score, because the score is so iconic and so memorable. It's probably my favorite score of the year so far, so it could just get goose-egged and people don't remember it, besides makeup. But I don't know, I really hope that the score is good enough for people to remember. And then The Banshees of Inisherin, it's Carter Burwell again. He got nominated for 3 Billboards. Supposedly this score's even better, so why shouldn't he get nominated here? The Woman King, it's a big historical epic. Supposedly the score is very big and operatic and inspirational and pumping, so it's every chance to get in here. The Whale, people really like the score for this. Supposedly it is a bit overused and over the top and over sentimental, but, you know, if it's there a lot, it will probably be playing on the Academy voters' minds, so it's absolutely a chance. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, pretty sure this is Alexander Desplat, so you can never rule him out. Tar, as I mentioned before, Hilda Guanadotir, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I really love the score for this. I just don't think it I don't think it goes along for the ride with that film. Avatar: The Way of Water, we don't really know what the score is going to be like, but could happen. And Black Panther, ditto. The first film might have even won score. So, you know, absolutely could happen. Best original song. Now, I'm terrible at predicting this category, even like the day before Oscar nominations, when we know what all the contenders are. So I don't know. This is probably going to be I'll be surprised if I even get fucking 2 of these right. Come Oscar time. But number one, I've got "Hold My Hand" from Top Gun Maverick. You know, people love Lady Gaga. People love Top Gun. I thought the song was just okay, but I see no reason why it couldn't get in. Applause from "Tell It Like a Woman." Now I have this because the song is by Diane Warren, who gets nominated every single year for scores for films that no one's heard of, but they just get nominated because it's Diane Warren. So that'll probably happen again. Will she win? Probably not. She never wins, but she's always there. 3, I've got Naju Naju from RRR. I would be jumping for joy if this got nominated because it's such a fun song, and I think if the film is to get any love, this could be the category where it happens because everyone who's seen this movie comes out talking about how the Naju Naju scene is one of the most fun moments of the film. So, you know, it'd be awesome. This Is a Life from Everything Everywhere. Some people have called on this. I still think if people love the film, it can get in. It's David Byrne, it's Mitski, like that, and Sun Lux. It's a great combination of artists, and I think it is a really, really beautiful song that has enough going for it to listen to on its own outside of the film. It's not like a gimmicky song in the film. It plays in the credits. It's a really nice song. It would be great. And then 5th, I've got New Body Rumor, which I think is by LCD Sound System from White Noise. And apparently people just really love that song. So that is my number 5 for now. I know that there'll probably be a Black Panther song. I think there's supposedly a song from Bros that people like. But those ones, I guess, once we know what they are, I'll have them in there. Nobody Like You from Turning Red, which I believe is the song that the boy band sings. So, you know, it's Disney. Very good chance. And Carolina from Where the Crawdads Sing. The song was all right. No one really cares about the film, but it's Taylor Swift. And you can't rule that out. People love her. Best sound, Top Gun Maverick is pretty much winning this. All Quiet could be a contestant. It's a war movie. Supposedly it has really great and immersive sound editing, so that could emerge as a contender. But I think as it stands, Top Gun is just taking this. Like the sound, it's awesome. The sound and it's awesome. Avatar: The Way of Water, I feel like this is just a no-brainer if they love the film. The Batman, I think, has great sound and would really deserve to get in here. And then Babylon, it's Chazelle, it's big Hollywood, lots of parties, lots of people talking, lots of music coming from every direction. It absolutely could happen. 6, we've got Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Blockbuster, technicals. Elvis, it's a music biopic. There is a lot of sound mixing in it. Whether it's good, I don't know, but could get in. Everything Everywhere, I'm interested in because if it's winning editing, a sound nomination often goes along with that, so absolutely could happen. Nope. Nope has really great sound design, so if they decide to nominate it in screenplay or something, it could be one that pops up here. The Woman King, historical epic, battles, and The Fabelmans, because it could pop up anywhere, really. Best visual effects, I think Avatar's winning this. You know, supposedly they are upping the game. They are creating new technological advancements. The first one pretty much won Best Picture off the back of its revolutionary visual effects. Not one got nominated. I'm tired. But I think if the film is as good as it looks, I think it's easily going to win this. I've got the Batman in there. Again, a lot of it is practical, but there are a lot of visual effects in there, and I think they do like to reward realism in this category rather than like the big fake CGI stuff. Everything Everywhere. Now, maybe if it were a bigger budget film, the effects wouldn't be that impressive, but I think it has a really great narrative going for it because they always do those presentations for the Academy members where they discuss how the effects were done. And the fact that this film's visual effects were done pretty much by a team of only 5 people a lot of them pretty inexperienced in a lot of the effects they were doing. I think it is a really, really impressive achievement on that alone, and I think that could will the voters into putting it in there. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, I don't think the first one was nominated because it didn't have great visual effects, but there's no reason why this one can't turn it around. And fifth, I've got Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Not confidently, but they nominated 2 Marvel films last year, and I think they do like them enough to do it. So I'm going to hedge my bets and put 2 Marvel films in, but it could easily go to Top Gun Maverick or Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. They are not afraid of giving visual effects to stop motion animated movies, so that could absolutely happen. Top Gun Maverick is mostly done in camera, but people might just be like, the planes were great, let's put it in for visual effects. Why not? Nope has really great visual effects and just great cinematography, I guess. Great use of lighting and everything. There's a lot of great technical tricks going on in that that sort of flows on from its homage to the blockbusters of old. All Quiet on the Western Front, maybe. Maybe. The effects in it are pretty over the top and campy, but could be a fun one to throw in there. Best Animated Feature does feel like a pretty comfortable 5. I've got Turning Red for the win solely because it is Disney, it's Pixar, and they usually win. I do think Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio has a great shot at winning if it is as good as we hope, because we know the Oscars like Guillermo, they always nominate his live action films, so maybe he steps into animation and blows everybody away. Strange World is an upcoming project from Disney, so like it's Disney. That's all you need to say. Wetland Wild is from Henry Selick, I believe, who did Coraline and stuff, so and the reviews are good. People like it, so I think it's a pretty good shot. And My Father's Dragon is a film from Cartoon Saloon, who get nominated pretty much every year. They did Wolfwalkers, I believe, and yeah, their stuff just tends to get in, so why not? Lightyear could happen because it's Pixar, but most people were pretty lukewarm on it. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, I think people love, but I think it's more maybe the film Twitter and Letterboxd community who love it. And there's probably going to be some internal debate from voters over whether it's an animated film. If it even ends up being eligible, people might not want to vote for it because there's a lot of live action in it too. The Bad Guys I'd love to see in there. I thought it was a really, really fun movie, but it's probably just going to get lost in the shuffle. Same goes for The Sea Beast and Apollo 10.5. Best Documentary Feature. This one's a pretty hard to predict because, you know, they have a habit of snubbing the front runners, but we've got Fire of Love. I've got it number 1 solely because I think it is probably going to be pretty crowd pleasing and it looks great on a big screen. All the Beauty and the Bloodshed is a new film by Lauren Poitras, who did Citizen 4, which I think won, but I'm not 100%. And it just won the Golden Lion at Venice, which is pretty big for a documentary, so it has to be up there. Navalny, I watched recently. It was really, really great. It does feel like it could be the one that gets snubbed in that it's pretty popular. It's really entertaining. It's a crowd pleaser. It does deal with something important. I do think with the amount of relevance Russia's had this year, because it is a film that focuses on the corruption of Russia's government, I think that could work in its favor because, you know, it's almost become even more relevant after its creation. But again, it could be that one that falls out. Senior is about Robert Downey Jr.'s father. Supposedly Netflix are pushing it, so one to look out for. And then Moon Age Daydream, which I've seen. And this one, I think, if you watch it at home, you might not be super enamored by it. But if you watch it in a theater, it's a mind-blowing experience. I saw it in IMAX, which was just incredible. And I think it's got a really good shot here. Descendant, I think, deals with some pretty heavy subject matter, but it is supposedly really good. But it's one that could easily get in there if one of the top contenders drops out, which they usually do. Icarus: The Aftermath is a sequel to Icarus, which won the award a few years ago, and supposedly this one's really good too, so you got to look out for it. And then I've also got Sydney in there, the documentary Sidney Poitier. He's a beloved figure, so why not? Last category, Best International Feature. It's one that I'm really invested in, and it looks like a really, really competitive category this year. I've already seen a ton of international films this year. I've seen 3 of the 5 predicted nominees here. And there's a lot more I'm looking forward to seeing. But the race is really wide open. There's been a lot of debate over stuff not getting submitted. Like Broker wasn't submitted by Korea or Japan. So people love it, and it's by a beloved director and has Song Kang-ho, but it's not going to get in because no one submitted it. Same with RRR, very fun, very beloved movie, not getting in because India didn't submit it. It's a strange rule the Academy have for this, but it's the one we've got. So I've gone with All Quiet on the Western Front, for the front runner because people are really loving it. It's going to be on Netflix. It's going to have a pretty wide audience. Decision to Leave, not far behind. Park Chan-wook's very, very entertaining police procedural. It probably, I know everyone was kind of waiting for it to be Korea's next big thing after Parasite, so it's probably not living up to that for people, but it is a really good and really entertaining and very well made technically film. So I hope it gets in here and maybe even still has a shot to win. The Quiet Girl is an Irish film. It's actually my number one favorite film of the year so far. I've gone to see it 4 times. I think it is a beautiful, moving masterpiece. So there's probably a little bit of wishful thinking in this prediction, but I think it's building some steam. Smashing the Irish box office, being touted as the best Irish language film ever made. It is a beautiful language, which I think really works into it being like a foreign language film nominee. Everyone who's seen it loves it, and no one really in the US has seen it yet. It hasn't been released there yet, so I'm really curious to see how people respond to it there. But if the response is similar to what it's getting so far, I really think this can pick up the steam it needs to get a nomination. Holy Spider, I've got from director Ali Abassi about a serial killer. Looks like it's going to be pretty dark, but it's been doing pretty well on the festival circuit, and I think it is definitely emerging as one of the front runners. And then 5th, I've got Close. Honestly, this one could even be a winner. It's very much a tearjerker and it deals with some very heavy subject matter. I've seen it. I was not a fan of it. I thought it was a bad film and it was very emotionally manipulative, but they do tend to go for that kind of stuff and most people are really liking it. So Close absolutely could be a winner. And I do feel pretty good about that 5. There are a lot of other contenders here. Don't rule out Bardo. I know people aren't liking it, but people could see the re-edit and love it and be impressed by the cinematography and just want to reward Iñárritu somewhere. Argentina 1985, from you guessed it, Argentina, has very, very good early reviews from those who have seen it, so absolutely could happen if enough people see it. Corsage, it's a fun period piece with Vicky Creeps. I wasn't a big fan of it, but it's an option. The Blue Caftan is a very, very beautiful Moroccan film. I just don't know if it's going to pick up enough of an audience, and the same goes for most of these. Plan 75 is Japan's submission. Supposedly it's pretty good. Alcaraz from Spain, I believe. I had the chance to see this and didn't, so I'm a bit bummed about that, but hearing very good things about it. And Saint Omer is France's submission, and you can't ignore France because they get nominated a lot. I've been talking for over an hour. I am exhausted. I'm regretting making this video. You're probably regretting watching it. Maybe next time I'll just do the above the line categories, but I've got all this out there. This is where I think the Oscar race stands so far. So if you're a nerd for all this bullshit, I appreciate you watching this video. Let me know what films you're really excited for coming up this year. And yeah, there is a lot of exciting stuff coming out, and I think it's definitely going to be a more enjoyable award season from the last one, because last year's I just thought so many of the competitors were really mediocre films, and I'm really hoping that's not going to end up being the case this year, and it's looking pretty promising so far. That's it from me. Stay tuned for more. Coming up this month is the Adelaide Film Festival in my hometown, so I'll be seeing some stuff there. The only real big ones I'll be seeing there are Tar and Banshees of Inisherin, and Bros, which I'm pretty keen for as well. But, there'll probably be some reviews coming out of that if I've got the time and motivation. But, yeah, again, thank you very much for watching this. I appreciate anyone who watches these, especially this one, because it's a long one. Thank you very much. Have a good day.